Yeah, I can try to get that handled for you. Again, it's only my second day, so if you can give me a second. How I'm supposed to do this? How the hell are we supposed to do this by 5 o'clock?
I have no clue.
Is that possible? Hey, do you have the password to... How'd you finish all your work already?
He's not tapped in. How'd you get that done so quick?
They think they're gonna be able to budget that?
It's money. That's money right there, you understand?
You guys finished your work 6 hours early?
He's not tapped in.
The time is upon us. Black History Month is here. Happy Black History Month. We're going big brain today. The Grift Report starts right now. Wait, I have to play my disclaimer.
The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. Views and opinions expressed by Hotep Jesus are those of Hotep Jesus's and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Hotep Nation or any of its officials. If you have any questions about this disclaimer, please contact our Office of General Counsel via the sheet of account. And Hotep and them.
Let's try that again. The time is upon us. Black History Month is here. Happy Black History Month. We going big brain today. The Grift Report starts right now.
2, 1, boom. Hotep Jesus.
Of all the Jesuses I know, he's the Hotepiest. Social scientist and YouTube host, Hotep Jesus.
How the fuck do you get a name like Hotep Jesus?
The one and only Hotep Jesus.
Ryan Sharp, better known to the world as Hotep Jesus.
Hotep Jesus. Hotep Jesus. Hotep Jesus.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Somebody said, what do you think you are, some kind of Hotep Jesus?
Ooh,
and
that's
I was
good.
Just like, ooh, that's sexy. Yes, I do think I'm Hotep Jesus.
Good afternoon, Hoteps. Welcome to the Grift Report, live Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. I'm your host, the Grift God.
Hotep Jesus. Hotep Jesus. Hotep Jesus.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Oh, this a real Hotep brother.
Hotep to the chat. Hotep to my Hotepistanis.
Hotep.
Got some really cool promo materials coming up around the bend. Pause. Just in case. Can't wait to show that to you. Just a little bit of Hotepistan artwork. As you know, Hotepistan is going to start virtually before it starts in the real world. We're starting off in the world of cryptocurrency thanks to SuperDApp created by Syscoin. Shout out to Syscoin and Medici family behind Hotep Jesus. Shout out to all my brothers over there and sisters if there are any in the corporation. Crypto Wendy-O being one of them. But we're going to start to pull our resources together in the world of cryptocurrency where it's safe from government oversight and make a little money. You know, a lot of you pay me or donate to me on Locals or other platforms to gain access to me. Now it's time for Hotepistan to pay you for getting access to me. The bigger this thing grows, the more money we make. Join the Telegram. The link is in the description box below. Go hit that Telegram. Join it. Not for brokies. If you're broke or you're just retarded and don't know how to use cryptocurrency, then you're not welcome. I know some of you are crypto challenged. If you need help, we'll walk you through it. In the Telegram, join and we'll walk you through it. It's not that hard. I got to be honest with you. If you know how to use an iPhone, you should be able to crypto. So I had a little bit of trouble this morning trying to figure out what to do for today's stream. And I settled on Black History Month, the good, the bad, the PsyOp. And I made a couple of notes, and you know me. I don't know exactly where my mind may lead me, what happens in this stream, but I think we have a sufficient start. So with that being said, let's go ahead and put this up on your screen so you can see what today's stream is all about. Ironic that this came in just minutes ago. This tweet came in, which really encompasses Black History Month. So this account, Mulatto Tribe, says, how can you not be proud of your ancestors having a whole month of dedication to the struggle they went through? Let the games of truth and lies begin. Truth versus lies begin. Now, this part right here is the part I have an issue with. The struggle. The struggle. Shout out to the Hoteps in the chat. Strong Dad, I see you. Goldstein, Rudy, Hotep Federales, I see you. Jerome, Dr. Feels Good, Montoya, I see you. Heather, what up? Shout out to my people over on Rumble. Rumble functioning? Good. Shahan, what up, man? Shout out to Shahan. Welcome. Okay, so this comes back to something I've said for a while, maybe in my Ali Shakur days, but I said Black History Month is really White History Month. That's one of my famous phrases. And the other one was Black History Month does not start at slavery. And I used to have this really cool T-shirt. I had somebody design it. It was basically the African continent in words, and the words spelled out Black history does not begin with slavery, but the words were in the shape of Africa. Basically saying if we're going to talk about Black history, we have to talk about the genesis of Black people. And a lot of people don't want to do that. We have ADOS, FBA, Freedmen, and a bunch of different other organizations of Native Black Americans who seek to differentiate themselves from Africa and the rest of the diaspora. Whereas an intellectual like myself chooses not to. I believe we are all one people. If you want to zoom out some more, when I say we are all one people, that would mean all lives matter, including white lives, Asian lives, Arab lives, etc., etc. But staying on the topic of Black history, let's just say all Black lives matter. Okay. So coming back to my premise of Black History Month is really White History Month, it comes back to this right here. The struggle. Now, in case you don't know, Black History Month starts out with Black History Week, which was, I believe, started by a gentleman by the name of Carter G. Woodson. And then later on, it would become something nationally recognized and become a full month. And I think that's where this PsyOp begins. Once Black History Week turns into Black History Month, I believe that's where the PsyOp takes over. Now, for a while, I was very much against Black History Month. I hated it. I thought it was stupid, mostly because why concentrate all your studies to 1 month when as a people you should be studying who you are year round. And then the other one has to do with the struggle. Since then, as I've matured, I'm starting to see the Black History Month thing as maybe net zero. Not really sure. Maybe net positive. You know, as a whole, it's probably net zero. If we dove deeper, it's probably a net negative for the world. Black History Month is probably a net negative for the world. Mostly because it stirs up division. Wow, just had another profound thought about this. So something we have to cover today. Where's my notes? Let me write this down. Integration. You know, when other groups of people have their holy days or their days of recognition, it's usually not nationally recognized unless for the purpose of division. And that's why I say for the world, Black History Month might be a net negative. For Black people, it might be a net positive. At the individual level, it could be a net positive or it could be a net negative. But for the world, I would say Black History Month is probably a net negative. And that's what I'm going to attempt to stratify during this stream. So, coming back to this term integration, which we'll dive into more deeply later. When something becomes nationally recognized, this is where integration comes in. We are being integrated or amalgamated into the greater society when really Black History Month could be something exclusive to the Black community. You could also make this argument for Kwanzaa. You could say Kwanzaa being nationally recognized could become a net negative. And we've actually seen that, right? When it comes around to Kwanzaa, what happens? The white conservatives or the red whites or the grifters, I should really say the grifter class loses their mind. And, they begin to dissect why Kwanzaa is bad, et cetera, although it has nothing to do with them. But again, when something becomes nationally recognized, this is where you have an attempt at division. And it doesn't exactly have to be this way. So let's come back to the premise of the struggle. Okay. My main issue with Black history is it's always in juxtaposition to white people, which is why I say Black history is really white history. And Black history is the result of white history, right? So basically what happens is history is taught, and it's taught from a Eurocentric perspective. It's taught from the perspective of white people. The victor gets to tell the tale. So it's not surprising that history has omitted the contributions of Black people to the greater society. Morally, it's probably the wrong thing to do. Strategically, it's the right thing to do. I believe it was Napoleon that said he wanted to basically create amnesia for Black people, completely erase their memory of their past. And I think white people or the European powers that be have done a great job of separating Black people from their past, separating Black people from their memory. And this is the issue we have now, where you have a lost people in search of their identity. That's really what the biggest problem of Black people is. A lost people in search of their identity. My hat goes out to the European powers of conquest, because you'd be hard-pressed to find a Black person in America whose primary language is not English. And anytime you want to conquer a people, you replace their gods and you replace their language. You replace their religion and you replace their language with yours. And then they are de facto your people now. So we are de facto Black Europeans. That's pretty much what we are. We're Black Europeans because we don't have our own language. And in order to be a people, you need your own language. This comes back to the power of China, the power of Russia, the power of the Arab world, and the power of Jewish people. And we're going to get into Jewish people a little bit later. But I think one of the things that lends power to Jewish power is Yiddish, having their own language. Another thing that lends to Jewish power is being insulated. They insulate themselves. And this has been a frustration of the white European for centuries, of how some of the Jewish tribes, because not all Jewish people operate like this, but some of the original Jewish tribes. Oh, did I save it? I can show you an example of this, where they exempt themselves of. Damn, I didn't save it. I can probably find it. What is it called? Rocket Mortgage? I think it's Rocket Mortgage. And I think, who was this that posted this earlier? Yeah, Harrison H. Smith, right? So Harrison H. Smith basically says here, am I missing something here, or do Jews get interest-free home loans from Rocket Mortgage? Another example of Jews being exempt from the European way of life, or the British Empire's way of life, or the Babylonian way of life, if we're coming from Jonah's perspective, the Hittites. Then another example we can look at is Prohibition. During Prohibition, Jews were exempt from many of the alcohol laws because of their religion. So that's why I said two things that mean much to people. Number one is religion. Number two is their language. You also have the issue now in America where they're removing religious exemptions. We talked about this on Monday with our interview with the attorney, Brian Festa. And Maine is one of those states removing religious exemptions. So destabilizing the power of your God. And then again, coming back to language. So let's go back. Here we are. Okay. So because Black people have been separated from their religion and separated from their language, the goal then of the powers that be is to keep them separated and then to amalgamate or assimilate into said culture. Which brings me to my next point. Let's pull it up here. Hold on. Or, I hate when that happens. Sorry. So here, somebody responds to my earlier post on X where I said, people think DEI is about Black people when really it's about white women like Taylor Swift. This person responded with, DEI is reparations for Black and the rainbow people. And then I added a bit of context here and said, DEI is the destruction of Black self-organization. Black History Month, in part, is the destruction of Black self-organization, DEI too. So DEI basically says, following the paper I showed you before that led to, when we went over the National Security Council paper on basically saying the Blacks are uniting, we have to provide them a leader, we have to basically co-opt their movement. So DEI comes in and says, listen, in order to stop the rise of a Black Messiah, in order to stop the rise of Black self-organization, what we need to do is make them assimilate into our ways and our culture, and then they will think like us and they would be like us. And you would de facto become an American, which is not exactly a good thing depending on how you look at it. And I'm thinking about it from the habits of the American, the cultural habits, the economic habits, the diet habits, the daily habits, the educational habits, et cetera, et cetera. So black people, don't build your own universities. Come to ours. Black people, don't build your own corporations. Come to ours. And that way you never have a rise of any black organization. Now, could this be said about white organizations? And that's why I think the concept of white supremacy begins to fall apart, because white organization is also not allowed. Anytime you have any whites begin to organize in any manner that resembles common sense, it will be discredited, right? To say the least. Militarily, it will be neutralized, okay? We saw this with Waco and other instances of self-organization amongst white people. All right. So now let's come back. So DEI basically says black people sit at my table, don't build your own. Black History Month does somewhat the same. Now, how does it somewhat do the same? Well, really what they do is they first have to provide a new leader, right? So as you see on my thumbnail there, MLK is their brand. That's the brand they give us, right? The next thing you'll probably get is X. You get Malcolm X. Now, Malcolm X is a very interesting individual, and I'm basing this solely on his autobiography. But Malcolm X is someone who I'm not that quite fond of, to be honest with you. I don't think he was that smart. However, I think he was extremely charismatic, and I think that's the allure of Malcolm X. He was extremely charismatic, and I think one of the greatest things I've seen him do from his autobiography is his ability to gather a following. I mean, when the Nation of Islam was rising in this nation and they sent X to go out, or El Hajj Malik Shabazz, and they sent him to go out, I mean, he was launching mosques all around the board. But when it came to the end of his life, I don't think he was thinking with his noggin. His wife, in some instances, may agree. I think he was brilliant, but I don't think he made the right decisions at the end. And I think it's because he was more heart than brain. He was more heart than brain. And I'm not saying that to say that's bad. I just think he was more heart than brain. And I just wish he had a little bit more balance so he could have a longer life, because the celebration of X is celebrating somebody who is premature. Malcolm X, his life ended really early. Really, really early. Where we hadn't even gotten a chance to see him mature, to really begin to do, quote unquote, God's work, Allah's work, or whatever. And I think this comes back to how he handled the situation between the Nation of Islam, the JFK comment, and speaking to the media. So this is why I think, obviously many of us are aware of the cooperation between intelligence agencies and allegedly the Nation of Islam to organize the murder of Malcolm X. And that might not have been necessary had X heeded the warnings. You know, Elijah Muhammad told him, be careful when you go into that interview. And me, you know, if I were to think like an ultra black nationalist, right? For example, I'm going to show you what I mean with my own life. Right around the time that DeRay McKesson was at the height of Black Lives Matter, I was invited to an interview. And when I got to the interview, I immediately sensed that what they wanted me to do was throw DeRay McKesson under the bus and criticize BLM. Okay. And I noticed that in this instance, they weren't exactly interested in the intellectual thoughts that I harbor. So I did not capitulate. I didn't go along with the program. I chose not to say bad things about DeRay, even though I could, because it was a white audience that basically wanted to watch a black man tear down other black people. So basically, they bring me on, you're the black voice, tear down black people so we can sit back and laugh at the dysfunction of the black community. And I didn't fall for that trap. I remember one time I was invited to an interview with Milo. I forget, Milo Yiannopoulos or something like that. And I took the interview, and he put some bait out there for me, and he was quite frustrated I never took the bait. But one of the pieces of debate was he wanted me to castigate Candace Owens. And I had nothing but positive things to say. Because again, when I go on a platform and you want to interview me, interview me. Don't bring me on here to talk shit about other black people. Now, in that interview, Malcolm X was not talking shit about other black people, but he put his nose in white people's business, which again, as an ultra black nationalist, you never interrupt your enemy while they're making mistakes. So I think the issue with Malcolm X is the final interview that some people purport. And of course, hindsight is 2020. You know, he doesn't have any examples to go off of. I have the example of him. So hindsight is 2020. So therefore, I'm able to build off of X. But I think he made a mistake going out there and being so interested in talking to the media. Talking to the media. Let's talk to the media. Fuck the media. You had your pulpit. Say what you want on your pulpit. Say what you want to your people. You didn't have to take these interviews from white people. And for some reason, and I don't know why, but he wanted to take that, right? So anyway, so they what they did was they gave us MLK, and then they gave us a premature man in X. Again, premature man meaning he was getting more and more enlightened, and they eliminated him before his enlightenment, just like they eliminated MLK or neutralized MLK before his enlightenment. So what they did was they gave us figures who were premature. This is a college level discourse lecture you're receiving right now. This is Harvard level discourse you're receiving right now. Rhetoric lecture from Professor Hotep Jesus.
I wish all the black people were as smart as Hotep Jesus. And I wish all the white people were as smart as Hotep Jesus. And I wish all the Hispanics were as smart as Hotep Jesus. Because that guy, he really gets it. He knows how to boil it down.
Another leader they gave us that was premature is Huey P. Newton. Huey P. Newton. How old was Huey P. Newton when he died? Now, the Black Panther Party as a whole were kids. They were kids. Actually, it's not Huey P. Who was the other Black Panther? It's not Huey. I'm drawing a blank here. So Huey dies at the age of 47. Nah, he's not the one I'm thinking of. Chat, who's the other brother I'm thinking of? Fred Hampton. Thank you. Fred Hampton. My bad. That's why I love y'all. So we got Fred Hampton, and Fred Hampton is a leader, and he dies at the age of 21. Again, premature enlightenment. So although these people were great in their own right and great for what they were doing at the time, what we are getting is incomplete stories and incomplete men. So again, what we're dealing with are premature leaders. Premature leaders. This is profound. This is profound enlightenment I'm giving you right here. Not even 30. Yeah. Not even 30 years old. Okay. Who was the other one? Bobby Seale. How old was Bobby Seale? Bobby Seale lived to 87. Okay. But Fred Hampton was the one I was thinking about. Steph Colonel said, good looking on the promo code in the newsletter this morning. Got 2 Apex and 1 Flow. But it's like I got the Flow for free. I'm gonna go in and adjust your membership. Don't worry, I'm gonna take care of your pricing, Steph Colonel. You're gonna pay you're gonna get the family discount. I go in there and so next month you'll see it on your bill. So what we're dealing with again is Black History Month led by premature men. And not premature because they were premature, but premature because they were clipped before maturity. X was clipped before maturity. MLK was clipped before maturity. Huey P. Newton was clipped before maturity. The other thing is they give us the Black Panther Party and they uphold this group for a very particular reason. And then they don't talk about other groups like the Bloods and Crips. What they did was they demonized those groups, although they were quite similar and they were spin-offs of the Black Panther Party. But they talk about the Black Panther Party for a very specific reason. And let me see if I can find it on this page here. Right here. And so this paragraph here says, the initial targets included the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. As so this is talking about COINTELPRO, and it says, as FBI Director William Sullivan later testified in front of the church committee, the Bureau did not differentiate between Soviet spies and suspected communists in Black nationalist movements. So the reason why I believe that they popped this up is because these people were communists. The Black Panther Party was following communism. And at the time, you can't really blame them because communism is this rather new concept to many, and it's sold as this tool of freedom. So again, hindsight is 2020. If you put me back in those days, I'm probably a Black Panther communist, you know? But again, hindsight is 2020. So the fact that these people are communists, what they can do is they can say, hey, remember the Black Panther Party? And then move the conversation to, this is why Black people need to be communists. Okay? So again, premature and misled ideology. All right? Now, let's go back. I'm going to keep this on the screen so you keep this in focus, because this is about self-organization. Now, Black History Month, again, comes back to, hold on, that's the wrong one for what I'm about to say. Comes back to the struggle. The struggle. And so that always is going to juxtaposition you to white people. To white people. Okay? Now, where's my phone? Because I started a list on my phone, and I'd love to collaborate with you all and help me complete this list. What I wanted to do was I wanted to lay out a list of Black people who have reached maturity, and had prolific things to say about history, or in some ways contributed to our society that we don't know about. Okay. So actually, let me make that segue there, because I think I did a good job of exhausting the subject of black leadership that we're given. And so I think by looking at the black leadership we were given, and then let's talk about the black leadership that we can look at, or black people we should look at. So the first name I'm going to pop in here is, let's go to Wiki, and I want to type in here, hold on. I want to type in right here, Henrietta Lacks, right? So Henrietta Lacks is known for HeLa cells, okay? And many people would tell you about, I probably should have got tonight to weigh in on this, but these are stem cells that were resistant to many diseases, et cetera, that science has gone and used. And royalties to her family, I think, are still in limbo or may have been paid out. I forget how that story ends. But again, I didn't want to come here and do a bio on every person. I just want to put these names on the map so that when I take names away from you, I'm replacing them with something, right? So I want you all to go down the rabbit hole of Henrietta Lacks. And it says, African-American woman whose cancer cells are the source of the HeLa cell line, the first immortalized human cell line, and one of the most important cell lines in medical research. An immortalized cell line reproduces indefinitely under specific conditions, and HeLa cell line continues to be a source of invaluable medical data to the present day. Something that should be discussed more. The next name I'm going to pull out the hat is right here. Here we go. This is Kamehameha, or some of you may know Dragon Ball Z Kamehameha. Okay. And this is a black individual. And the reason why I think this person is important is because we have to begin to repair the memory of black people. And the memory of black people has been severely lost. We are in a state of amnesia. And this is a kingdom, king of the Hawaiian Islands. This is 1795 to 1819. So when we talk about black history, they always say, well, black history is supposed to be the people of the United States. And today we know Hawaii is officially a part of the United States, the Hawaiian Islands. Dr. Kaba Kamene has a wonderful documentary on this king here. So it says here, Kamehameha the Great was the conqueror and first ruler of the Kingdom of Hawaii. The state of Hawaii gave a statue of him. Here's the statue. You'll see a Europeanized version of his statue. Somebody made. And conqueror, first ruler of Hawaii. National Statuary Hall collection in Washington, D.C. as one of two statues it is entitled to install there. Okay. So why him? Well, because at the time when they thought, black people were just slaves, you go to this island and you get this black man who's running a kingdom. At the same time, America is being formed and created. So again, they omit the power of black people and replace it with the struggle. So that's why I say Black History Month could be good, because you get lectures like the one you're listening to now. Okay. Let's go to the next name. Another name that they love to hide. It's right here. And Uncle Hotep tells a story about how he goes to the National History of Black History or something like that in D.C. And, you know, he mentions walking in and you see the slave whip and you see the chains and you see MLK. And MLK's got this huge thing. And then when you look at Marcus Garvey, he's got like a nameplate all the way down at the bottom where, you know, history has to mention him, but let's hide him down at the bottom to minimize his contributions to Black history. And obviously, we know he ran the UNIA, and he was the opponent to the light-skinned white supremacist, if we're using that term, W.E.B. Du Bois. W.E.B. Du Bois has him, it basically snitches to the man and has him extradited. But it comes back to my premise before where I was talking about self-organization. So W.E.B. Du Bois is talking about integration. He's talking about assimilation and black people being more like white people. And Marcus Garvey is saying we can build our own. Okay. Yes. Also a Jamaican man. Hold on, let me catch up on the chat. Dripped in gold. You see that, right? You're telling me the most legendary movie in anime history was named after a black man? That's exactly what I'm telling you. Somebody said Polynesian, not black. That's Brian Nichols. He's our in-house insecure white man. Okay, let's continue. So we have Marcus Garvey, right? Next one that most people might not know about is Noble Drew Ali, founder of the Moorish Science Temple. Without him, I think, and again, Newark, New Jersey, shout out to my Jersey heads. But he's the one that starts the Moorish Science Temple, and without him, I think, we lose much as far as black intelligentsia is concerned. He has great contributions, and he also comes about around the time of Marcus Garvey, if I'm not mistaken. Garvey is 87, and he's born in 86. Garvey dies in 1940. He dies in 1929, so he lived to the age of 43, right? So we got Noble Drew Ali. So another person who advocating for the building of your own movements that is often hidden from us. Tari says Polynesian and Aboriginals are just as black. Tari, don't argue with these people. I don't argue with people like that. They just, they just retarded. They just retarded. You can't argue with retarded people because they're going to beat you every time because now you're on the battlefield of retarded. Let's go to the next name. Does he not have a wiki? Damn. Wait. What? I was about to say it's... There it is. There we go. Okay, I was about to say, he better have a wiki. John Henry Clark. John Henry Clark, in fact, I think the best place to begin studying him is John Henry Clark, Mary Leftowitz. And Mary Leftowitz was the Jew that they always trotted out to debate black intelligentsia, okay? And this debate right here, as you can see, I'm like 42 minutes into it. I watch this maybe once every 2 or 3 years. Phenomenal debate. This was in 1996 between John Henry Clark and Mary Leftowitz. even the moderator was quite impressive. When you watch that, you start to see the greatness of Black intellect. Okay, so if you haven't watched that, start right here and then dive into John Henrik Clarke's work. And there's a bunch of lectures that exist. John Henrik Clarke on religion, John Henrik Clarke, as you can see, this is watched. All these are usually watched. The Coming of Europe. So phenomenal historian. Okay. How Jesus Was Invented by John Henrik Clarke. Phenomenal lecture. Now, the next name I'm going to give you is very controversial, but has to be talked about. Okay, and we're going to type in Tony Martin. Let's see here if we can find him. Anybody know Tony Martin? Here we go. So here's Tony Martin. Okay. Now, Tony Martin is a interesting figure, and I'll show you right here. And what he does is he starts to put the transatlantic slave trade into focus. And he says, among the subjects that Martin pursued was the place of Jews in the Atlantic slave trade. During the 1990s, he came under public criticism for encouraging his students to read The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, a book compiled by the Nation of Islam, which was widely regarded as anti-Semitic. So, and he also debated Mary Leftowitz. In fact, took her to court. Okay. So there was always this desire to limit the power of these great minds. Now, I like Tony Martin because he didn't come off as an anti-Semite. Instead, he came off as a historian. A rather profound historian. And what people try to say is they try to say that so here's Tony Martin on Marcus Garvey. Here's Tony Martin, the true reason communists hated Marcus Garvey. Let's take a listen to this.
The Communist Party of the USA.
Let's pull this up. Let's see what he says about communists. Here.
The Communist Party of the USA was founded in 1919, right around the same time that Garvey was really taking off. 1919 was the year that Garvey started the Black Star Line Steamship Corporation. And communists, naturally, their whole thing was organizing the working class and the peasantry. And these were the people who were in Garvey's movement. And there was no way that the Communist Party could get at the black masses without dealing with Garvey. And so they saw Garvey as an obstacle in their path, to getting to the black masses. And they tried all kinds of things. They tried to get friendly with Garvey. They tried to attack him. They tried to infiltrate his movement, but nothing worked. Garvey didn't have a sort of a right-wing type anti-communist, thing, but he was very, very strong on one point, namely that black people should control their own organizations. So Garvey didn't care if you were coming from the left or the right. He wasn't going to let you take over his organization.
Okay. Let's go back. What did I say at the beginning of the stream? Show you right here. DEI is the destruction of black self-organization.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
That's what I'm talking about. One True Iceman said, I've noticed that the white dudes in the chat don't like when Hotep gives these lectures. They'll disagree in the comments, but will never call in to assert their position. Yeah. I mean, we got a lot of great white guys here, but there's always that one who feels unsettled when they are met with new information, but usually that's just cognitive dissonance. I would like to call it just ignorance, right? Ignoring the facts and ignoring the fact that they haven't studied. John Henrik Clarke has a famous quote that says, the more you talk, the more you tell me what you have not read. So here's Dr. Tony Martin on Jews in the Atlantic slave trade. And I'm gonna pick a random one here and a random time point. And let's just share maybe a couple of minutes of this lecture.
There's no limit to what they would do. Garvey said even thieves, there's dishonor even among thieves, but among the individual leaders of the time, apparently nothing was done. Du Bois actually wrote secret letters to the Secretary of State of this country. Again,
so he said he was talking about Du Bois writing secret letters to the Secretary of State. So again, Du Bois working with the so-called white man to take down Garvey. Let me go right here.
then riddled with bullets, then hung.
Actually, this isn't even a lecture.
Before Garvey married.
That one's.
Held at the shrine of Black Madonna in
They
honor
probably
of the
took
Honorable
it down.
Marcus Mosiah.
Oh, here we go. That's it. I know sometimes people.
One of his predecessors.
No, I don't want that. I don't want secondhand shit. What is this?
But before I describe what happened, let me spend a few minutes summarizing the facts of Jewish involvement in the slave trade. What precisely was the nature of the Jewish involvement in the African slave trade? The Jewish involvement in the African slave trade begins, as far as I can tell, long before the actual slave trade across the Atlantic itself. The transatlantic slave trade has its immediate origins around about 1441, when Portuguese sailors landed on the West African coast and kidnapped a few Africans, brought them back to Europe. Africans were brought back to Europe, to Portugal and to Spain as part of that particular trade for several years. Columbus, of course, arrived in the Americas in 1492, approximately half a century later. In 1502, the first Africans were brought to the Caribbean. The Caribbean is where the transatlantic slave trade begins, and many Americans don't know that. But for over 100 years before Africans were brought as slaves to this country, the United States of America, Africans were being brought across the Atlantic to the Caribbean, to places like Hispaniola, the island which today is shared by Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and to other places as well.
So, everybody wants to talk about the transatlantic slave trade. This is who I learned about the transatlantic slave trade from.
It seems to me that Jewish involvement then in that transatlantic slave trade precedes by many, many years, perhaps by 1,000 years, the actual beginnings of the transatlantic slave trade. And let me explain. It seems to me that the most important theoretical underpinning for that transatlantic slave trade was what has come to be known in many quarters as the Hamitic myth. Some people call it the curse of Ham story. When the slave trade developed, beginning
Y'all know about the Hamitic myth? I'm sure some of you do.
1441 and for hundreds of years thereafter, people who prosecuted that trade looked at the biblical story, and for reasons that are unknown to me, unto the story. Quote, he says, Rab is one of these sages. He says, Rab maintained that Ham had unmanned Noah. So Ham, according to this sage, savannah, the Jew savannah. And according to Stedman, the Jews were very often the most cruel of the slave owners. They played a very prominent role in torturing slaves and so on. He has several little vignettes that he mentions in there in Boston who were owned by Jews. I think there was something like 18 or something like that around this time. But suffice it to say that they were an important element in the Dutch West India Company, which was the preeminent entity carrying on the slave trade in the early period. The Dutch West India Company was responsible for importing, the earliest slaves to places like Brazil, to some parts of the Caribbean, either directly or indirectly, I think, to this country as well, in a very early period in the 17th century. In many areas in the Americas, Jews were a dominant element in the slave trade. In Brazil, for example, in the 17th century, Jews were a dominant element in the slave trade. They owned a large number of the plantations. They were often very importantly positioned in other aspects, not necessarily the plantation aspects, but things like, say, the importation of slaves, things like the warehousing of slaves, things like the auctioning of slaves, things like the provisioning of slaves, things like manning slave ships, provisioning slave ships. In New England, for example, at the height of the Atlantic slave trade, rum became a major economic venture in New England. Places like Providence, Rhode Island, places like Boston, and so on.
Rum.
And rum was a major factor in the slave trade because rum was one of the major items of trade, one of the major items that slave ships carried when they went to West Africa to trade and exchange for slaves and so on. And I believe that at one point all the rum distilleries in Boston were owned by Jews. I think there was something like 18 or something like that rum distilleries. So in all of these areas, both directly and in terms of ancillary industries feeding the slave trade, Jews were very, very important. Apart from Brazil, Jews were again dominant factors in many other parts of the area. For example, in Curacao, a Dutch island in the Caribbean. The majority of folks involved in the slave trade in Curacao were Jews. At one point in Suriname, which again was a Dutch colony right next to Brazil in South America, Jews were again a very important part of the slave trade in Suriname. There was an English soldier by the name of John Stedman who went to Suriname in the late 1700s as part of a mercenary force raised by the Dutch to try to fight against the maroon slaves. Those were the escaped slaves who established an independent existence in the interior and gave the slave regime a lot of trouble. And Stedman wrote a very fascinating book concerning his experiences in Suriname, and there are several references in Stedman's book to the presence of Jewish slave owners and so on. There was one large plantation area in Suriname called Jew Savannah. And according to Stedman, the Jews were very often the most cruel of the slave owners. They played a very prominent role in torturing slaves and so on. He has several little vignettes that he mentions in there concerning the kind of cruelties that were meted out to slaves by both Jewish men and women. There's one case he describes there of a maroon slave leader, a man called Jolicoeur, French Jolicoeur, beautiful heart. Don't know where he got that name from, Jolicoeur. But apparently Jolicoeur, again, was a rebellious slave. He led a slave uprising. And on one occasion, apparently, the Maroons were fighting against, some of these people from Jew Savannah. And according to Stedman, they captured a Jewish slave owner named Schultz. And apparently Schultz was the man that Jolicoeur, the slave owner that Jolicoeur had escaped from as a young boy. And Jolicoeur remembered that this guy Schultz had apparently ravaged his mother and so on. And Stedman describes a very, very, very harsh vengeance that was wrought by Jolicoeur on Schultz. He flayed him, cut his skin off, then used his skin to keep the powder dry, the powder for his cannon or whatever, and used his head to play football with. Jews were also very prominently present in non-Dutch parts of the Caribbean, places like Barbados, places like Jamaica, St. Thomas, and many of the other islands as well. There's been a big debate that has arisen concerning whether Jews were the dominant element or not, or whether they were even an important element. But much of that discussion has taken place in the context of the United States of America. In the U.S., it may not be correct to say that Jews were as dominant in the slave trade as they were in parts of, say, the Caribbean or Central America. Nevertheless, Jews were an important part of the slave trade in this country, in the U.S. of A. Anyway, in fact, in the U.S. of A., Jews apparently played a role in the slave trade that was greater than the numbers in the overall population would suggest. Just as in 1992, a study done based on the Forbes magazine list of the richest people in America for 1992, a study based on that list discovered that something like 33% of the billionaires in the US of A were Jews, based on the Forbes list of 1992, at a time when Jews claimed to be 2.5% of the United States population. So just as in 1992, they were overrepresented in the high echelons of this country, just so during the slave trade, even though their numbers may have been relatively small, and many of the people who have tried to refute the suggestion that Jews were prominently involved in the slave trade in this country, many of those people put forward figures suggesting that Jews were only a very minute portion of the overall American population. Yes, they were a very small percentage of the American population, but that has nothing to do with their role in the slave trade, the importance of their role. The role was much greater than their numbers in the overall population would suggest.
Now, I didn't want to play that clip because, I want to stir up trouble or, I want to make Jews look bad. It's not my goal here. My goal here is to take the subject of Black History Month, which is often tied to Black struggle and Black slavery, and provide you with a professor, somebody who's done extensive research on this matter, so that you could round out your view of this so-called struggle. Because what happens is, although I don't want to say Jews are bad people, I don't think that's the case here. But the issue is, when we're not allowed to talk about history, we lose history. When we can't talk and say, well, that the Dutch East India Company was majority owned by people who call themselves Jews. Oh, wait, we can't talk about that. Well, then, how do we talk about the subject of slavery and race if we can't have these discussions? So then you get somebody like Tony Martin, who's pushed off into obscurity. You have somebody like John Henry Clark, who has said similar things and is basically retelling. Now, I don't want to talk about Jewish power. I want to illustrate white weakness.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
I don't want to illustrate, don't say they're Khazars because they're not Khazars. You are ahistorical when you use the term Khazars. I don't want to talk about Jewish power. I want to talk about white weakness. We can take the argument of, because, some people are going to say Jews are not white and some people are going to say Jews are white. Whatever. I don't want to have that argument right now. It's too deep. Fact of the matter is they separate themselves into a different group. They are a different tribe. So if Jews were running the transatlantic slave trade from a corporate perspective, what were white people doing?
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
What was the white man doing? Obviously, he was the worker bee. He was the one putting in work. So there was a cooperation between the Jew and the so-called white man, the so-called Jew and the so-called white man, to subjugate people. Because the slave trade was not about just African people. We know that there are slave listings of various whites, Irish, so on and so forth, that were also sold. In fact, a white man sold for about a quarter of the price of a black man. And that's why I say you got to tell all of the history so we can begin to heal as a people. We can't run from black crime statistics and then run from Jew crime statistics, white crime statistics. We got to tell all of our crimes. We've got to bring it all into perspective. And the issue is, once that group is brought up, we now have to neutralize the orator of these historical facts. And in that, you eliminate black memory. You eliminate black history. Because if you can't tell all the history, you're not getting all of the picture. We're going to go to the phone lines. Text Hotep in your name to 202-596-5631. Text Hotep in your name to 202-596-5631. From our callers today, I want to hear from you. Is Black History Month a net positive or a net negative for black people? And is it a net positive, net negative for the nation of the United States of America? Let's go to the phone lines. I'll be right back after this short, brief commercial break.
Yeah, I can try to get that handled for you. Again, it's only my second day, so if you can give me a second. How I'm supposed to do this? How the hell are we supposed to do this by 5 o'clock?
I have no clue.
Is that possible? Hey, do you have the password to... How'd you finish all your work already?
He's not tapped in.
How'd you get that done so quick?
They think they're gonna be able to budget that?
It's money. That's money right there. You understand?
You guys finished your work 6 hours
Murphy's
early?
Law.
He's not tapped in.
We got Goldstein on the line. Goldstein, what's up, man? Happy Black History Month to you.
Happy Black History Month. Happy Black History Month to the chat. More importantly, happy Hotep Thursday.
Oh, yeah. Chat. Happy Hotep Thursday.
Yeah. So, Black History Month. All right?
Yeah.
That's the topic. That's the topic.
Mm-hmm.
First, I want to say this. You going to jail.
You going to jail.
Yeah. You going to jail.
Why am I going to jail?
You going to jail first and foremost for playing that video a few minutes ago. That's first and foremost.
I'm going full black nationalist for Black History Month, man.
Second, you go into jail for the OnlyFans, but that's later today.
We got the Black Twitter Report sponsored by nerdnash.com later. My bad. Go ahead.
I'm here to try and hopefully take a little heat off you.
Okay.
All right? Because what I'm about to say has pissed a number of people off throughout my life. I'm pretty sure today will be no different. But history, Black history, white history, American history, European history, Jewish history, world history, religious history, no matter the vein, history is a fucking PsyOp. The whole goddamn science of history is a PsyOp. And there's a handful of reasons why that is. I will go over a couple of the more important ones. Number one, history.
Can I jump in right there?
Sure.
Hold that thought. I just want to say another cardinal sin that people make with history is separating out history. Oh, this is white history, this is black history, when really like all these groups are working together. So there has to be just history based upon continent. But go ahead. My bad.
That's precisely one of the main tenets of why history is a PsyOp. Is female energy. History is bitch shit. All right? Because if you think about in your life who is the most proficient when it comes to history, it's always the woman you date. Because they quick to bring up old shit. And they know every last aspect of it. The time, the date, the smells, the taste, all of it. Right? So it's already slanted towards a female perspective, which there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just that when you fail to realize that, then you can get lost in the weeds, and that's when shit gets weird. Right? History as a science, it only really slants one of two ways. It's either look at how great we were, or look at how shitty they were. And that's history in a nutshell. Very
Facts.
seldom, yes, very seldom does it slant in the way it's supposed to go, in the way that it's the most useful to humanity, which is, what did we do before that didn't work that we cannot do again? Is very seldom slanted in that way. And then the divisiveness of it only tends to get us further away from that train of thought.
Facts. Bars, go off.
So this is why history is a PsyOp. Think of one other science, quote unquote, that is as easily manipulated and as full of manipulation as history.
Can't think of one.
It's rife with fucking just one big ass PsyOp.
Yep.
Some people will say it's controlled from the top down. I think everybody has had their hand in tearing that shit apart.
Yep.
But it's a fucking mess. It's a fucking wasteland.
Yep.
If you are looking for your current worth, whether individually, collectively, if you're looking for your current worth, your current value, or any type of upliftment from history, that simply means you are failing in your present. That's all that means. There's no way around that. Now, I know people will say, well, no, but look, now fuck all that. If you are actually producing in your current, A, you don't have time to look backwards. And B, again, the only practical reason to look backwards is, what did I do that was wrong that I cannot do again? Or what did we collectively do that was wrong that we cannot do again? It should never be focused on how shitty someone else was or how great you were.
Right.
Because again, that's bitch energy. That's the shit that they talk about in the beauty salon.
Yeah.
Oh, that bitch over there ain't shit. Or, oh, look at me. Right?
Yep.
One of those two things. Anything that has that type of energy to it should never be fucking considered as a science.
So let me piggyback off that. I love that. So Jews and running a slave trade, right? When I said,
yeah,
I don't want to talk about Jewish power, I want to talk about white weakness. That's going along with your premise, right? Because what people want to say is, oh, Jews are evil. And really, I'm thinking to myself, no. Slavery was a part of the market economy.
Right.
So you got to ask yourself, how did they, out of all the Europeans, come to dominate that? Which leads me back to the fact that a group of people prioritized two things: math and science. Those are two. Those are all one. And then money. Math, science, and money. And Jews have dominated these three things. It is not their fault that they happen to be the most intelligent out of the white race. Because I couple them in with white people. I'm sorry, just I don't know if I should have, if that's wrong or not, but they're white people to me. But like I said before, it's not talking about their power. It's talking about, well, what does it take to become a dominant people? And in order to figure out what it takes to become a dominant people, you have to look at Jewish power. And Jewish power doesn't do anything wrong. All it does is it protects itself while everybody else is bullshit. Fucking, the Jew was selling rum. Ain't nobody tell the white man to get drunk off it. Nobody told the African to get drunk off of it. But that's what happened. So these are the lessons that you're saying that must be learned. Well, let's look at the history and see what happened. Oh, we fell to drugs and alcohol. Maybe we should think about using so much drugs and alcohol now. White people and black people can learn from that. Right. Maybe we need to pay more attention to money instead of Taylor Swift's ass.
Precisely. It should always, if you're going to look backwards, it should always be like, where can I improve based on my trajectory so far, as well as the trajectory of my contemporaries, the trajectory of my ancestors, whatever the fucking case may be.
Yep.
That should be the lens through which history has its most relevance. Is how can I improve based on the steps that were made by myself first, and then, you know, on backwards.
Mm-hmm.
It should never be how can I improve based on what somebody else is doing as it pertains to my lot in life. Like, okay, I'm fucked up because of these people. How can I change that? Nah, you're not fucked up because of those people. You're fucked up because you're fucked up.
Because you're fucked up. Facts.
Right.
Facts.
So that's how history should always be utilized. And anytime anybody tries to steer history in that direction, like those brothers you played, they are shouted down.
Yep.
They're shouted down. They're hidden. They're tucked away. Think about it. If man collectively viewed history through that prism, how can we improve based on what we've done and what we can do? There would have never been a World War II, correct? Because they would have had the lessons of World War I.
Right.
All right. So how do we not do this again?
Mm-hmm.
History's never looked at like that, though. Never.
No.
So this is why I say history is a PsyOp. So anything with History Month, throw that shit in the garbage.
Oh, man.
Throw that shit in the garbage. This is why all morning my tweets have been basically on some bullshit. Because I don't have any reverence for this motherfucking month. I have reverence for my people, but I also understand that my people, their history, quote unquote, is a lot larger than anything a month can encapsulate.
Facts.
And not only that, if you really want to get down into the weeds of it, there's no such thing as history when it comes to the level on which I believe our people operate. It all is simultaneous. So it's whatever.
Yeah. Absolutely. All
Also,
simultaneous. I love that. Continue.
Yeah. I just want to drop this one last gem. The reason why they want to pack us into universities is because they don't want us to understand that there's a multiversity.
Bars. Oh, Lord.
Oh, this a real Hotep brother.
That's my one jewel for the day that I will be handing out all 28 days of Black History Month.
I love it. I love it. Appreciate you on the call in, bro. Happy Hotep Thursday.
Happy Hotep Thursday, man.
Salute. Hotep and Bill, let's get Strong down here. Let him go super black nationalist and see, does he feel Black History Month is a net negative or a net positive? That video I played is very controversial. It's very controversial, but it has to be played. We cannot just delete history. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. And you can't vilify Jews because you chose to get drunk. Because the feudalists in Europe chose to fornicate. Because Rome chose to fornicate. Their empire, their emperors chose to fornicate as opposed to do what was right.
Yeah.
Strong Dad, is Black History Month net negative for Black people, net positive, and is it a net negative, net positive for America?
So for Black people, it's a net positive if you understand how to weaponize the popularity of it. If you have a family and you want your child to be interested in history, and you see that this month comes along, they're going to be more interested in history just because everyone else is. This is the perfect time to teach them things they don't know, quite like what you just did on the stream. In this way, it is a net positive for all who participate in this form of Black history activity. For the world, for the people at large, it is a net negative because it separates the fact that all of our history is all of our history. And
stop.
As long, right.
Thank you. All of our history is all of our history. Continue. I'm sorry.
All of our history is, in fact, all of our history. And so when we say, you know, and also there's a history month for every culture. So if this conversation doesn't happen every single time, then it doesn't need to be the primary thing that happens when black people experience it. That's the first thing before I say that. But all history is all history, and everybody's got something that separates them from everybody else. And so when we make it recognized like Kwanzaa, then it takes away from the value it actually has, right? So from that perspective, yeah, it's in that negative. Here's the thing, though. I don't like the take that history is a psyop for the very reason that I'm able to say our history is all our history. The very fact that I learned that shows that history did its primary function in my life, which is teach me how to do better than the past and also what happened in the past and how it pertains to my future.
Well,
if you use
I think when Goldstein said history is a psyop, he's talking about mainstream history.
Mainstream anything is a psyop. That's like saying water is wet. Of course, mainstream anything is a psyop. When we talk about it, when someone mentions something, if the first place a person goes to is the negative aspects of it, then they themselves have missed the whole entire question.
Well,
they've missed the whole entire purpose.
You don't see my issue with history is not the framing of the events, because I can look at a history book with framing of events and still pull away my own thing. My issue with history is the omission of facts. That's the psyop of history, is the omission.
But I have a question. When you teach history to your children, do you teach them through omitting the facts, or do you teach them as, a full breadth of history if you teach it at all? I only say this because when I look at how I've been taught history after elementary, right, after the younger years, I wasn't taught that myopic view of history. So I just feel that there's a disconnect.
When I teach history, like you and Goldstein, it's what is the lesson to be learned here, and how can we use it to empower ourselves? That's how I teach my kids history. Right. That's how I teach history on this channel. Here's what you need to learn. Like when I played the Jews thing, the takeaway from the Jews controlled slavery isn't Jews are bad. The takeaway is, well, what the fuck were white people doing? What the fuck were the rest of the Europeans doing? That's the takeaway, right? And then it makes the conversation more nuanced, because then you got to say, well, hold on, like, what were white people doing? How did they feel? And what was their role in slavery, et cetera, right? And then also, well, how did Jews come to control an entire market? Well, what were white people doing at the time? You know what I'm saying? So it's to show it's to show that the kings and queens that people like to prop up in European history. Like when we learn European history in school, they talk about this king and that queen, but they're not talking about the super smart Jew behind them pulling the strings, telling them like, yo, you need to advise him. And he's not pulling the strings because he's mischievous. He's pulling the strings because the king's a fucking idiot. The king was illiterate. Do you know what the illiteracy rate was throughout Europe? It was insane. And then when you look at the illiteracy rate, even within Jews in the Pale settlement of Russia, you also see high amounts of illiteracy unless it came down to reading Yiddish work. And then you have to think about, well, why were they only reading their script and not other people's script? It comes back to they didn't want to assimilate, which is going to make you powerful. But black people want to assimilate, which means assimilation means elimination of power. But my bad. Go ahead.
But this right here, what you're doing is history's primary function. It's to entice thought. It's to create critical thought by telling you what happened and giving you a blueprint to create something new. And when we look at when history was taught in the centuries and centuries and centuries removed from us, it was taught with that in mind. When conquerors were taught history by their advisors, they were taught history not for just the purposes of being the best conqueror, but for the purposes of knowing their land and other adjacent lands so that they can be better than the kings before them. History is literally a weapon in the hands of the strong, and it is anything but in the hands of the weak. And that's exactly why people view it with such weird ideas. When I look at history, I'm looking at a bullet. This is a bullet. This is literally more ammo for your future. How can I improve? The fact that you are able to create the Patriot Report, you used history in its primary function. And that's why I defend history. But I wanted to break away for just a second because Khalid Muhammad, he told us about, that clip you played. I do remember, an older lecture where he talked about, where he was defending how he spoke about the Jews. And he said, I didn't say that 75% of the Jews owned slaves. I said 75% of the slaves were owned by Jews. What does this mean for us? And I just want to highlight that Khalid, who lived to an older age and was taken out, almost made it all the way without making the mistakes some of those younger leaders made. And I do believe the mistake he actually made was he used the traction of, he used the inherent ability to harness violence, and he used it too much. He fought physically the KKK. He fought right before the Million Man March when they had that pre-rally. He fought there. He fought afterwards. And I think that these moves, while they galvanized a lot of support behind him, was the mistake that he made. Because up until that point, he had shown that he could go and, go to Africa and bring ideas and worth back and forth. He had shown that what he was doing could actually work, but it wasn't until he broke off completely and started his militia and was physically in the streets that things kind of went left. And so I just want to highlight, he was, aside from that, he was a really good leader, very eloquent. The way that he was able to defend his understanding of history and use it in debate, I mean, there's very few after him that I believe stepped up to his level.
Who are you talking about?
Khalid Muhammad.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I didn't include Khalid Muhammad because my list, I wanted to try and make it mostly mature men and not people who got clipped early.
No. I like your list. I like your list.
No, I'm saying that for the audience.
Oh, okay.
So they know why I omitted him from the list because he's definitely he's right here.
Hotep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, he's a real Hotep if anyone's really looking for one, you know what I'm saying? And they think that it's not here. Yeah. The blueprint is there. But, it was really the way that Hotep Nation has taken historical events and used it for good in so many ways. This is one of the things that allowed for me to have so much traction when I was out there, protesting, and I was out there going up against, liberal powers and having to fight people on the field of ideas while also maintaining a certain status. I used what was happening here in Hotep Nation to propel that thought, which is that history is not just there to show us how we got fucked over, but this is how you weaponize these moments in time and create traction. So I'm always in defense of history because I love history. And I mean, honestly, Black History Month itself is lame because nobody teaches real Black history. They teach the same 5 leaders. Everybody knows about them, but if you're someone like me, you use this month to take the popularity of it and point someone in the direction of good, especially young Black children who we want to be the intersection to them understanding history, not these liberal idiots. And the only way to do that is to take months like this and weaponize them for that. But if we just leave it to the weeds, then we're going to create more, fucking, what's her name? Jamel Hills and shit. And I'm not trying to create more of that in the world. So what are we going to do? You know what I mean? We're at a crossroads. Is what I feel when I think about history in this manner.
Okay. I like it. Goldstein's about to call back in, so let's hear what
Yeah, he's gonna call back in because you know what I'm saying. I thought that was a soggy, koofy take, and I stand by that.
Soggy, koofy take. Oh boy!
Not only do I stand by that, I know how much people be hating on the strong dad in the chat, and I'll tell you, fat motherfuckers who can't touch your toes or bench more than me, to kiss my black ass. That was a soggy, koofy take.
All right, let's see what he got to say.
Facts. Hotep and Bill.
Hotep and Bill. Goldstein, how would you like to respond? Please call back in. It didn't turn into debate day. I didn't expect that. What's the chat talking about? The chat is all over the place. What? The omission of narrative history becomes selective history. Yeah.
Call from Murphy's Law Rescue.
Goldstein.
So as you guys know, I don't normally do this. But here we motherfucking go again. Here we go. Listen, let me tell you something, all right? Let me tell you something right now, all right? I let this man slide about a month ago on the show where he called in and tried to hijack my point of view as his own. I let it go. I made a quick little video on Twitter, but it was specifically for him. I didn't make a big deal out of it. Hijacking my take, talking about I'm hijacking his take when it came to white leadership. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. But see, strong dad, for as strong of a dad as he is, right, lacks one very specific thing: nuance. Strong dad has zero nuance. So what did he do today? He gets on the airwaves and starts talking about the one aspect that I said history has any good, as if I didn't say any of that. The one aspect where I said this is where history is good, he comes on and says, this is why history is good, like a goddamn parrot, and says I'm wrong for all the instances where I said it wasn't shit. Did not defend or examine any of those, right? Yeah. As a matter of fact, what did he do? Agreed with me. Agreed with me. You can't keep hijacking my takes. You know what I'm going to start doing? I'm going to start letting him call first. I want to see what he comes in with when he doesn't have my wake to ride on. That's what I want to see. Strong Dad, we need a podcast. Me and you need Hotep Fridays. And HJ got Hotep Thursday on lock. That institution should never be fucked with. You know what I mean? Even if one of them were to drop off the face of the earth today, God forbid, that should be the end of the show. Because there ain't no replacing either one of them niggas on that day. That shit is gold. But me and you, we need Hotep Friday.
Uh-oh.
That's what we need. Over the course of...
No, my bad. Go ahead.
I was going to say, over the course of however many months it takes me, I'm going to get my shit together, goddammit, and we finna make this happen. We finna make this happen. Hotep Friday, me and Strong Dad. Goddammit, we'll figure out a name
y'all
later.
The Hotep Jesus and Uncle Hotep. Wait,
that's right.
I think you're Hotep Jesus and he's Uncle Hotep.
I can see that. I can see that.
Because he always be coming from left field with his takes. and be on the attack. I be leaving Unc alone and he come for my neck. You be chilling and he come for your neck. That's why I say you're the Hotep Jesus in the situation. He's Uncle Hotep. Cause I thought you made your case, clear. Like history's a PsyOp. I'm like, yo, I get what he's saying. I didn't even need you to explain it. And then he went and I don't even know how he explained away how it's not a PsyOp or whatever he said, but I was kind of lost on
that. You know what? Like I said, I'm batting cleanup from here on out. I'm calling in third, fourth. No more lead off for me. Because I can't keep feeding y'all. I can't keep doing it. I can't keep doing
it. I agree. I think you need to start letting him go first every once in a while to see what he come up with.
That's what I want to see, because I want nothing but growth. I want exponential growth from Strong Dad. Strong Dad, that man right there. You know what I mean? Utmost respect.
What about the fact that he tried to make it physical? Like, if you can't bench more than me, then what you say don't matter.
That's his wheelhouse. That's his wheelhouse. Pumping all that iron, you know what that does? You know what you don't need when you're pumping all that iron? Nuance. Right? It's a very straightforward practice. You pump, you lift, you set the motherfucker down, you get stronger. Right? A, B, C. You know what I mean? There's no nuance in lifting. It is what it is. And this is what he has trained not only his body for, which is a damn good thing, but his mind too. A, B, C, I'm out. What happens when I don't provide the A no more, though, Strong Dad?
Uh-oh.
Let's see if you can come up with your own A material.
Listen, we got an audience built up on Hotep TV, on Rumble. That was designed for the Hoteps to create their own shows on. So when y'all ready, the followers are there.
Yes.
Hell yes. That's why I created that.
We finna do this, man. God damn it, because this needs to happen every week. Every motherfucking week, this needs to happen.
Y'all need to hash this shit out. Facts.
That's right. Can't keep coming for my neck. I'm the last motherfucking neck you want to come for. Pause. That's a hell of a pause. God damn. But yeah, that's true though. I'm the last motherfucker you want to come at. Strong Dad, you gotta leave me alone, bro. I ain't even cooking yet. I just be pulling out utensils. That's it. I just be pulling out utensils. I don't even turn the gas on. And here you come. What happened to you last time?
You cooked them last time?
Last time I cooked today. Right? He ain't been the same since. The man ain't been the same since. He got Goldstein derangement syndrome. Soggy kufi. Nigga. I don't even wear a kufi no more. I done left kufi way in the dust. I'm past kufis. Now I'm wearing halos at this point. Soggy kufi. That's all I got, man.
Yo, appreciate you. Hotep and Bill.
Hotep and Bill.
This is why Black History Month could be a net positive. Remember I told you it could be a net positive. Because when Hoteps collide, all them niggas gonna debate. Ain't nothing better than a Hotep debate. I'm telling you right now. When you got a long trip, just turn on a Hotep debate. You got to take a road trip, a Hotep debate. Matter of fact, I'm going to show y'all something. Because what people don't understand is I have different debate styles. And I want to show you the debate style I came with last time by following behind my mentor. Hold on, I'm going to show you this shit. I don't even know how to spell this nigga's name. Here we go. Is this it? Yeah, this is it right here. I just want to play like a clip somewhere.
To beat me fair and square. You want to be a boxer and put iron.
Yeah, this is perfect. I clicked to the right spot. Listen to Shaka.
Handing on our work. That's dishonest and deceitful. That's the only thing Hebrew Israelites have to offer anybody. You got the nerve to ask me what Kemetic literature did they use, and then when I pull out the documentation to show you that they used our literature that's documented and it's in the same book that these slaves used to be inspired and get free. So they would use the Kemetic literature. I'm not gonna let you hide behind a lie. I don't give a fuck about nothing. Are you kidding me? You gotta be out of your Hebrew mind. Not just Proverbs, Psalms. Jewish and Christian approaches to Psalms. Conclusions. Psalm 104 is in.
So I came with the Shaka Akmo style of debate where you just cuss your opponent out. Y'all gotta go listen to this debate. Shaka blacked out on dude like several times. And this shit's just hilarious. Where's Sonny at? Sonny's texting me.
Hey, T, I know this hurts, man, but you did it to yourself. But I love you, though, man. I love you, though.
Man, you out your rabbit ass fire right now, man. This nigga brought Jay-Z to the debate. Oh, hold on. Let me share my.
That's why he made the sign. Look, the pyramid. And it's named after a Hebrew god, Hova. But he's holding up a Kemetic symbol. Why didn't he hold up a picture of a menorah? Why? Because Hova is not even a Kemetic, not even a Hebrew god. So it's an Egyptian god. I'm in Hebrew. I'm in Kemetic writing. This is Dr. Ben in Kemetic writing. How did the ancient Africans of Egypt, Northeast Africa, write Jehovah? Right?
Yeah. So I came with that style. I like this style. I like the style of cussing your opponent out. You know what I'm saying? That's what I like. Let's go to the phone lines. My bad, y'all. Dre calling. Let's talk to Dre. Jonah in here too. I'm gonna get Jonah in here after Dre. He said that's the ancestors talking. Shaka debate go? Yeah. But Shaka just hold on. Let me see if I could.
The strangest chain of events in Egyptian
Dre call in.
Is topped by the 26th dynasty's divine emblem of the figure of one of the gods' names. Yo, Moto G. Yahoo. Stop telling that lie. Note that this Egyptian god was adopted by the Harry character. Let me show you why character matters. Kedu, character.
You're up. You can mute your mic on, brother Shaka.
You integrated. What is an apogee? The highest point in the development of something. That's what these slopes represent. Awesome. That's why his name, that's why it says Seneferu appears.
Dre.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hotep to the chat.
Hotep. What's good, bro?
Well, history, to me, history has always been subjective. Because you can tell it from the winning plate, because they're the ones, the victims are the ones who usually write history. But what about the loser's point of view? I mean, really and truly, most folks ain't gonna want to hear no loser's point of view. But what about how they saw events? What about those people and what they think? I'm glad for Black History Month for the simple fact is that most of the year, the hoi polloi of the, FBA Negro, they don't concentrate nothing on learning about themselves. You know what I mean? They so into what the white man doing and what the white man about instead of, being about themselves, which they kind of need to do to get themselves on a better footing in this world. That's just my unhumble opinion, my arrogant opinion.
Yeah.
So I have no problem with the Black history. I'm just glad that this is a month that we can expose people to like Dr. Oh my gosh, I almost said it like Dragon Ball Z. Kabakane, Dr. Ben, and all those type of people who are not in the normal zeitgeist of these people.
Yeah.
So they get these exposures. But my whole thing is February 28th, 29th, whatever the month is going to end this, that's when they forget about it. And that's the part about it that hurts me a little bit.
Yeah. It's
gone.
You know what I mean?
And
then they back to Mozungu.
They got all that hype and interest for the shortest month of the year. And when it's done, they forget about it. Really and truly, I think, as Hoteps, y'all need to declare a Black History Year. Screw every other person. You know what I mean? Even when it comes to the rainbow people, step on their month also. Even if we gotta talk about the black rainbow folks. You know what I mean? I mean, we gotta make our history preeminent for us. You know what I mean? And I'm not mad at white people who want to do their own white thing, but this is for our own edification and our own education.
Yeah.
Because
so is it a net negative or a net positive for America?
I just think it's neutral.
Okay.
Because I think it's neutral until black people, well, no, I should say black people, the FDA, until they get themselves together and understand they're so drawn through this country, not through white eyes, but through their own eyes. That's the reason why, I don't know if you remember this a couple of weeks ago, I told you I'd love for like somebody like either you or Sonny Johnson, who is way more educated on this type of thing about me, put every part of every black person to every political event from the Revolutionary War on. Because all we know about is Christmas addicts. That's all we know.
Christmas addicts?
Is there any more black? Yeah, that's all we know about the Revolutionary War and black people.
Yeah.
You're gonna tell me that they don't talk about, you know what I mean? There's nothing else that black people did. I mean, I know that, you know, the Brits offered freedom. You know what I mean? Both sides offer freedom to black people that serve. One side didn't live up to the winning side didn't live up to whatchamacallit, but you know what I mean? It's like we need to know more. So like we don't repeat the mistakes of the past. So and another thing too, I hate you. No, I like you under the FDA. Y'all need to talk about. They need to talk about meretricious manumission. Talk about how snitching is an FDA thing.
Snitching?
An FDA business. Yeah.
Oh,
Who do you
yeah.
think that? How come?
W.E.B. Du Bois,
why
like
think
King
that
Snitch, yeah.
Exactly. Every slave revolt, the Negro that went and served the white man, he got free.
Yeah.
So they need to address that in their history. Really and truly, if I got back on X, I would have done anger engagement for me, just teasing them folks. But I don't want to do it because that's just not me, because I have a mean streak in me and I know it's gonna make me a meaner person. And I'm not trying to be mean this year. I'm trying to be a better person this year all around. But as to the history, I just wish that the hype we have this month and how it swelled up our chest, that at least it could last till June, July.
That's wishful thinking.
That's my only hope. But it's not gonna even last till the Ides of March. But the Ides of March it's all gonna be forgotten. There's one more thing I wanted to tell you real quick. That I noticed. Okay, they say all of these blacks for Trumps, right?
Yeah.
Have the Republican Party made any outreach, or has Trump himself has they made any personal outreach, or these are just people in the streets like, yeah, we for Trump and stuff like that? But are they harnessing the energies of these people?
Who?
You know what I mean?
It's who?
Like the Republican Party, period. Harnessing all of these.
I think those organizations are mostly like Trump backed. I don't think the Republican Party has much integration with niggas for Trump or blacks for Trump.
Okay, well, I don't care for niggas for Trump, because just like you, I might want to hit white people. They're like, oh, you're a nigga for Trump? No, I'm a black man for Trump. I'm an American for Trump. You know what I mean? That just happens to be black. You know what I mean? I ain't got nothing nigga about me. So I didn't like that. That's just me personally. So I ain't gonna just.
Let me make sure I get Jonah in here, man.
Yeah, get Jonah in, because I want to hear his take also. And one more thing too. Yeah, strong dad do be kind of, dick riding. And I ain't gonna say pause, because I ain't from the generation that everything homo. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna Paul thing gonna come out my mouth. That's another thing too. But
You think
that's something for
Strong Dad
another
was
time.
dick riding today? A little
Kind
bit?
of, sort of, man, because it's like everything he said, he came in, you know what I mean? And the worst part about it, I soggy Kufis. Kufis don't never get soggy. So, you know what I
Kufis
mean?
don't never get soggy.
Nah, Kufis
I
don't
love
never
it.
get soggy. They never good material. So, I can't agree with that soggy Kufi take. That just left a real nasty taste in my mouth. But I'm a, Hotep and my Bill to the chat. You know what I mean? And let me hear what Jonah got to say.
All right, later, man. Hotep and Bill.
All right, peace.
Where is he? Chona. Oh, there he is. Strong Dad said this is blasphemy. Uncle is a CEO. I'm the shit. Goldstein is jealous. His takes are old man takes. And the bench thing was a joke. LOL. $5. It's getting spicy. Retro Neon, he said, happy Black History Month, the month where the white liberal woman hates on MLK, forgetting with a pog and a Hawaiian, shaking my head. Sad. Jonah, we about to get Jonah in here.
You
Jonah,
are
call
supposed to look at him and think about his mental and moral nature. This is the documented facts of ancient Kemet and what you're looking at when you're looking at these buildings. It's about society engineering. You don't know anything about this. You are idiot. You are idiot.
Right.
You are excellent.
All right.
You see where he called him an idiot? That's why I was channeling Shaka in my last debate. I said, yo, I'm taking this debate like Shaka. I'm cussing. I'm insulting you. You know what I'm saying? I am not going to be emotionally in control. So shout out to Shaka Akmos, my mentor. Appreciate you. Jonah, what's up, man?
Nada.
What you got to say
So
about
let's
Black History
start with,
Month, man? You're a white man, man. So your opinion matters more than anybody. Is Black History Month a net negative or net positive for America?
Well, first off, it's coming from Rockefeller education, so.
Can you prove that?
Nah.
Okay.
Well, didn't it start as the Black History Week with the celebration of Lincoln and Douglas's birthdays, and then Howard Zinn, through the education department, created Black History Month?
Yes.
From Frankfurt School?
Yes.
So, yeah, that's going to be Rockefeller education. But I'm going to go ahead and start with you believe in one of the great historical lies that everyone seems to believe.
I believe in a historical lie that everyone else believes in?
Yeah,
What's that?
all the Europeans were illiterate.
I didn't say all. Why do you always gaslight me? I didn't say all. I said they had high amounts of illiteracy.
But that's still a lie, because if that's true, why did Oxford start in 1200? Why did Martin Luther protest against the Catholic Church with written note on the door of the church? Why did the Loyola there, whatever his name is, Ignatius of Loyola, he started 75 schools in his lifetime, and then they had over 120 universities within the 100 years. So they had to be someone reading, right? So there's definitely a lie about the literacy rates. Now,
I mean, they got schools in the hood, niggas still can't read.
Well, universities.
They got universities in the hood and niggas still can't read. In fact, all of the great universities are plopped right in the hood. Niggas still can't read.
A lot of them are going to be Jesuit schools too, right? But anyways, I dropped something in your post. It's an old map from 1700, which is kind of funny too, because it's and it has a bunch of links there. And I'll put some other cartography up there from Africa. And it's Ethiopia and Abyssinia. I've never heard of Abyssinia. What the fuck is Abyssinia, right? So that's another thing to look at. But, again, I'll keep it short because I have to run out the door here soon. But, I've said this all throughout the year. These people, these banking cabal that, control all of society. And this kind of goes with Goldstein and against them at the same time, But what is their symbol? The two-headed eagle, which is also to be shown through the phoenix. well, the two-headed eagle, which could also be shown as Noah and Baphomet and all that stuff too. But basically, what it is that you see the future and then you see the past, and they use that as their control.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's going with the antediluvian, post-diluvian. So I mean, all of it is, again, too. I've said it 100 times. All these banking empires, including the Knights Templar, what do we know about their history?
What?
Nothing. We don't know shit about their history because it's all erased. So every time they steal all your wealth, every time they steal all your assets, they burn your country and then burn their history of how they ran your country, the banking cabal. It's the same families, same, incest bloodlines.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why history is important. And actually, again, too, it's important if you're intelligent enough to actually go back and try to pull sources further back and then compare to like today. And then, if you compare like every 100 years and you see how it's all a lie. Like Queen Mu and the Egyptian Sphinx, where they're talking about the Mayan. So that in the 1890s, this guy wrote a book called Queen Mu, where he's talking about Chichen Itza and how he discovered the mausoleum off to the side. Now, if you look up Chichen Itza today, they're talking about how they were unearthing it in the 1970s. Okay, cool. How the fuck do I have a book from 1800 saying that they know all about it? And all the Egyptian hieroglyphs in the fucking Yucatan and Chichen Itza. How is that all known in the 1800s, but not in 2000s? So, anyways, I gotta keep it short. I got someone on the way, so Hotep and build.
Hey, thank you, man.
Later.
Hotep and build. Shout out to Jonah for the call in. Where's Rudy? Rudy, call in. Let's talk to Rudy. See what he got to say for us. Let's watch this video in the meantime.
That's all he does is kiss ass. I haven't seen a black man kiss this much ass since. I don't think I've ever seen a black man kiss this much ass. And he's from like South Central or Crenshaw or something. And this guy, man, D.L. Hughley, man, I got to give it to him. And they say that Steve Harvey's an ass kisser. Nah, that's all he does.
Damn. His brother coming at D.L. Hughley. D.L. Hughley do be kissing a lot of Democrat ass.
Rudy the Vet.
Rudy, what's up, man? Is Black History Month a net negative or net positive for America?
All right, are you ready, brother?
Yeah.
Are you ready for my answer? Net negative.
Okay.
Net negative. Why. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it's who's leading it? Who's the loudest voices in it? We're in the middle of a Marxist revolution in here, and this is nothing but division. Like, ain't nobody gonna teach ancient Kemet. Ain't nobody gonna teach African history. You put on two guys today I've never even heard of, like Bezmenov. I'm like, how the hell did I wait 45 years to see Yuri Bezmenov video? I didn't know who this Mr. Professor Hill. I never was taught any of that shit, right?
Yeah.
So when I say it's a negative, it's not like I'm saying I have an issue with it. I have an issue with what's taught. Because all they're going to do, you go on to Twitter first thing in the morning, besides Goldstein and the Hoteps, all you see is divisive shit getting thrown left or right. Because America is in the middle of a cultural Marxist revolution. And they're not going to use this but to beat people in the head. They're only going to teach slavery, not the nuance to slavery, not the fact that Shaka Amo said blacks were enslaving whites long before whites were enslaving blacks. They're not going to teach the Jews. They're not going to teach about the Arabs. They're not going to teach about Genghis Khan and what he did. How the Chinese, how they were running. They're only going to teach white bad, black good, beat us in the head, and divide us even more. That's the only reason why. Not that I'm against the premise of it, right? I'm not against the premise of it. But let's just be real of where we're at in America now. What's going on with the
so you
the
agree
subversion.
with me then?
Yeah, like if you were teaching it, brother, if you were teaching it, like I said, you've thrown things out there. When you had Shaka up there, I went and watched a couple of his videos because this shit I never was taught. And like Jonah has a point with the Rockefeller indoctrination system. You know what I'm saying? He has a point, and he can't writtenly prove it. But I mean, look at all the other fake shit they taught us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm not saying it as a hater. I'm saying it as a 30,000 foot. This is what they're going to use it for the next 28 days, 29 days. Beat us in the goddamn head and divide us even more. And then you're going to have your grifter whites, like Mr. Kirk and Mr. Pasovic, playing the victim card and boo-hooing about shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or you'll see your conservatives play the clip of Malcolm over and over talking about the white liberal, but they won't play nothing else that he discussed and talked about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they cherry pick.
They'll take that one. They'll cherry pick what they want, or and not to say Thomas Sowell's brilliant, brilliant, but they'll put soul up there. They'll pick what they want and throw it out there, and there's just no nuance, no education, just further division because the haves and have-nots. That's what happened when the society was homogenous and the communists needed to take over. But then you got your Harvard-educated, Marxists like Bell, Raja Bell, oh, no, we need to use race in America because people could climb up and down the ladder of the economy, so they needed race to divide us. And they're going to beat us in the goddamn head with it for the next 30 days, bro. So that's why I say it's a net negative. And y'all know me, man. I'm black. I'm a black adjacent white. So don't point your finger at me. Just understand that's how
black
I feel.
adjacent white.
Yeah, I grew up in Norfolk, bro. I grew up in Norfolk, man. You know what I'm saying? So don't point your fingers at me, getting all pissed off. I'm just calling it like I see it. Hotep and build, man. 37 days, 36 days to the grifties. That's all I'm really worried about, bro. I can't wait, man. I can't wait to meet everybody, man. Hotep and build to everybody, and I'm out, man.
All right, Hotep and build. But yeah, so I played the Shaka video. You guys saw the debate between Goldstein and Strong Dad and how that got heated up. And I wanted to play that for y'all just to show y'all, Hotep debate. Like Black History Month gotta be full of Hoteps and just Hotep debate. Cause, white debates are boring. I gotta be honest with you. I listen to the white debates like Ben Shapiro and Destiny, and it's just like nobody cussed each other out, right? So nobody insulted anybody. And what people say is, oh, that's not supposed to be a part of the ad homs and all of that. And yeah, I get it. But there's not even any passion behind the words, which is why, so even the raising of your voice, I love when we get some of that in the Hotep debates. And I'm specifically thinking of the Sarnetta days of, all right, I'll show you another goat of yelling during a lecture, or probably the goat of yelling during a lecture. Hold on. Y'all know about this cat? Oh, this is one of my goats.
All right, family. Black Power is the truth hour with General Sarah Soon Seti. Kick back, get your mind ready for some information that's guaranteed to be.
Sarah Soon Seti, one of the goats. Trying to find one of his classics.
This shit. All right. Because they got all these crazy ass colors. You understand? And then they made Saudi Arabia blue, and that shit damn near look like the water and shit. So it's hard for me to see on this ugly ass map. This is a fucking European ugly ass map. And I'm gonna throw it. The only reason I got it because it's old and it was like vintage. But this shit so vintage, I'm gonna take this bitch straight to the goddamn garbage and throw it in there. Cause it's a piece of shit. The colors all fucked up. Got Saudi Arabia blue, and that damn shit damn near look like the water. I'm way.
I don't know why, but every once in a while, I need that delivery. I need that. I need some cussing. I need some ignorant nigga shit. I need that. So I can't never debate somebody and not give y'all that, because that's how I personally love to debate. I'm going to cuss your ass out. And then we going to shake hands at the end. You know what I'm saying? But that is the spirit of the Hotep debates. Shit going to get heated. And sometimes white people hear the debate and they're like, are they about to fight? And it's just like, nah, chill out. This is just how we interface. This is how we discourse. You know, we going to cuss each other out, then it's going to be cool 5 minutes later. You know what I mean? And as black people, we can't allow ourselves to lose that. Do not become so milquetoast that you can't insult somebody during the debate. I'm going to tell you everything you said wrong and call you a complete fucking idiot. White folks don't like that. They go, that has no place in a scholarly debate. And that trickles down from Puritanism. When white people act like that, that's their Puritanism past that's telling them, you know, act a certain way, be a certain way, which makes black people popular because we don't follow Puritanism rules, which makes us so much more animated and passionate and entertaining. So white folks, if you get in a debate with somebody, call that motherfucker an idiot after you make your point. You know what I'm saying? Nas said that's why I listen to Sonny Johnson. Sonny Johnson's another great example. She will cuss you the fuck out. Matter of fact, she apologizes to you before she cusses you out. Steph Colonel says, so you do want to be hood. Strong Dad says Shaka will teach you history, then will break your entire worldview. Shaka embodiment of history, low key, between him and the brothers he debates. Yeah. So like I brought that up because I saw some of that between Strong Dad and Goldstein today, where it was sort of getting heat and hot. And I don't want people to think that we're gonna divide or, you know, like Goldstein said, I like debating like I'm at the domino table. Word. That's what I'm saying. Like that good kickback feel for real niggas. You know what I'm saying? And I know some people saw this Strong Dad and Goldstein back and forth, and the insults are flying back and forth. And I don't want people to think that, you know, the Hoteps are beefing. And it's just like, nah, that's how we carry on. That's why I had to, iterate what I did in my last debate. That's why I had to iterate Sarah Sutanseti's delivery and Shaka's delivery in his debate to let y'all know this is part of like black expression to insult. And Thaddeus Russell has great lectures on how white people lost their soul, and they lost that piece of them where everything has to be milquetoast and cookie cutter and proper and, talk like this, don't say that. And it's just like you're looking at a black and white film instead of a color film, because how do you remove emotion from a debate? I mean, you can, but you're not getting the full grasp of somebody until Sarah Sutanseti
over here thinking I'm going down. And I say, damn, there's Saudi Arabia right there. I'm damn near China. Number one.
Oh, I want to see.
With that Suez Canal cut through Egypt. Egypt got two fronts. Like what it looked today. They just put that shit up just recent. A fucking barn. It didn't look like it looked right now.
He just be cussing. I like when he says peckerwood. These damn peckerwoods. But Sarah's another goat. Who else gets heated in debates and be cussing? Yo, who else be cussing niggas out and insulting people in debates, yo? It get hot. Sometimes it used to get real heated sometimes. Oh, Young Pharaoh. How could I forget? Young Pharaoh will cuss your ass out in the middle of the debate respectfully. He will cuss your ass out in the middle of debate respectively. I never forget my elementary math teacher. He was a DJ, but a mathematician on the side. Yo, Dr. Phil's good. His lectures are hilarious, right? Yo, Sarah Sutanseti is goated. Nick Fuentes sometimes. On Benjamin. Owen Benjamin is definitely going to insult you. Owen Benjamin is definitely going to insult you. And he's an example of somebody who hasn't been purified by the Puritanisms. You know, somebody said, shit, the map is falsified. Why wouldn't history? This is why you need to read primary sources. Yeah. Amen. Let me, so yeah, we had to give you a nice rounded out view to introduce you to Black history. And, you know, I wanted you to just look at some things outside of, you know, what the mainstream wants us to look at. You know, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, great as they were, premature. But check out some of the stuff I showed you, some of the names I showed you, whether for entertainment, educational purposes. And again, like I said, you know, I enjoy just putting stuff in front of people, you know, and saying, what do you think about this? Or letting people just go down their own rabbit holes. And sometimes what happens is later, you know, years later, they go, yo, remember you introduced me to this? Look what I found. And then they're sharing something with me. And I always bring this up. There's a review on my Amazon for my book, The Patriot Report. I think it's like a 3-star review. And he was like, I wanted Hotep Jesus' commentary in the book, but the way I teach is I present the facts and I go, what do you think? These are the facts, right? So I didn't want to steer your brain, because I think with history, that's the issue with history is people present facts and then steer your brain. So the guy was asking for more commentary, but I'm like, you want me to steer your brain? Nah, I don't want to steer your brain. I want to show you here the facts and then let you think on your own. You know, that's how we create independent thought. That's how we make people think. If I think for you, it's like I might as well chew your food and swallow it for you. Pause. You know what I'm saying? You won't debate Dane Calloway? Debate him on what? I'll debate any fucking body as long as it's a man. And depending on the name, I might have to get paid. Like, I can't debate Nick Fuentes for free. People have been asking for that. I can't debate him for free. That's too spicy. It's way too spicy. We got to get paid. Me and him got to get paid for that. Who else wouldn't, you know, they try to put me on with Richard Spencer. I turned that down. No, cut me a check. But anybody that's like a, you know, white nationalist, I got to get paid to have that debate. But outside of that, if we're going to have like great discourse, I'll debate anybody as long as there's a good debate. But Dane Calloway, I'll cook his ass too if he want to get cooked.
Oh, this a real Hotep brother.
I'll cook his ass. Tell Dane hit me up. Ask him what he want to debate me on. Let me cook his ass. Huh? Call me the chef, huh? That's an easy W if you ask me. Y'all got to come harder than that. Shout out to Dan Calloway. It's nothing to take away from his work, but nah, he can't stand in the ring with me. AHJ. About the facts, so is Dane straight up. Yeah, I think Dane does a decent job presenting the facts. But what will we debate about, you know? Anybody you put in front of me, I'm cooking. It don't matter who it is. You know what I mean? And I'll let you choose my style. I'll let you choose my style. You want me to cook them like I cook Mo? Or you want me to cook them like I did Lupe? Calm and quiet assassin. See, Lupe got the calm, quiet assassin where I cooked him and he didn't even know he got cooked in the first 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Or you want the, you know, you tell me the style. I got fucking 85 styles of debate. Debate him on septum rings. I'm not debating nobody on no fucking septum rings. That's, no, we're not doing that. You'd pay to see Dane debate? Throw some bread up, let's get it. Why you ain't super chatting, first of all? Nigga, if you would pay, throw in a super chat. Sister Otis said, why debate something if you don't disagree? Right. Yeah, exactly. Debate Amazing Lucas. Amazing Lucas won't talk to me. I don't know why, but I told him, like, let's talk. I'll cook Amazing Lucas. I think Amazing Lucas is scared of me. That's my boy, too. I love him to death. That's Spider-Man. That's my boy. He get cooked, too. Tell Amazing Lucas, come get some of this. Debate him on the real Black history? What does that even mean? This is why y'all can't pick debate topics, because y'all just bad at it. Just tell me how much I gotta donate to make it happen with you and what? Oh, okay, yeah. If y'all don't disagree and it defeats the purpose. He don't give debate. Yeah, he definitely doesn't give debate vibes. How you got 85 styles when there's only 36 chambers? Wu-Tang forever. What's today? Thursday? Hotep Thursday. We back tonight with Uncle Hotep. It's Hotep Thursday. They taking me to Hotep court because I opened up an OnlyFans account. I'm going to be putting on the judge wig again. So make sure y'all tune in tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time for the premiere show on this channel. So I'll see you tonight, man. Be well. Stay merry. Tell somebody you love them. And as always, Hotep and Bill.
Yeah, I can try to get that handled for you. Again, it's only my second day, so if you can give me a second. How I'm supposed to do this? How the hell are we supposed to do this by 5 o'clock?
I have no clue.
Is that possible? Hey, do you have the password to... How'd you finish all your work already?
He's not tapped in.
How'd you get that done so quick?
They think they're gonna be able to budget that?
It's money. That's money right there. You understand?
You guys finished your work 6 hours early?
He's not tapped in.